if you're down with Tito Puente, salsa if you're down with Celia Cruz. Music from Cuba, still a life force, pumping down the avenue. Mambo, salsa, mambo, salsa.
So yeah, well, thank you guys for doing this. This is very exciting. And I got a chance to listen to the album, and it's been out for a little bit, actually, hasn't it?
Well, no, only a couple of weeks.
No, that's a little bit.
yeah. A couple of weeks in record time. That's nothing, you know.
That's true. That's true. Especially these days, time is weird. I don't know if Tim has told you, but we're locked down again here in New Zealand. So especially in Auckland.
Oh, yeah, I haven't caught up with. You're still locked down, are you, Tim?
Well, we're locked down again.
The rest of New Zealand has been released into level, I think they call level 2 or 3.
2.5, I think they're calling it.
Level 4. It's like last year's lockdown when we started writing this record, Phil. Same thing.
Yeah.
So it's a bit like Groundhog Day.
Something like that. Only it seems worse this time around, and I don't know, just weirder.
I agree, Marty. And when Phil and I started working, we didn't have any visuals at all, which was probably a good thing. Like we just sent files, and so it's better when music's invisible in a way.
Right.
If we'd looked, might have gone, shit, forget this,
Yeah.
No.
In fact, the first. I don't know, we'd never thought about even trying Zoom. I guess we're just still learning about Zoom. But I think the first time we actually saw each other was, we started in March 2020. And I think the first time we did a Zoom thing was in 21.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is like the 4th Zoom I've done today now. It's just like a way of life. It's very strange.
This is like only the 4th time we've seen each other in 2 years.
But you made a record, which is that's something. I mean, you guys go way back, obviously, since 75 or however long ago it was that you produced the Split Ends album. So, but of course, we need to find out how this record came about. From what I understand, I think Tim, did you instigate things?
Well, sort of. Phil sent me a photo of him. He was at they were being inducted. Roxy were being inducted into the Hall of Fame, and Phil sent me a little snap, really, just saying hi.
Right.
I'd seen it years prior to that, and so he was just like, saying, "Here I am at this and that and the other." And I think maybe Neil was there as well.
Yeah, in the photo. Yeah, me. I said, "Look who I found." In New York.
And so. Kind of reminded me. Plus, I've been working with Eddie on the forensics project, investigating early Split Ends, especially the 1976 album Second Thoughts, where Phil produced it in London at Basing Street Studios, and Brian Eno walked into the room and he liked a particular part of one of our songs. And so 45 years later, I think it was, obviously I said to Eddie, maybe we should write a song over that bit, and we did an album. But because of that, I reached out to Phil and said, you got any slow Latin grooves? Because Phil and I had actually tried, or we had made an album together amongst many other people back in the 80s. I think it was 80s. Yeah. Because I'd been to Cuba in about 86 or something, and I'm absolutely fascinated with Latin music, especially Cuban music, especially. And so I thought, I wonder if you could combine that with the kind of songs that I write. And I think it was only partially successful. There were some good things about it, but I guess it was a lingering feeling that I wanted to do more with that. And so many years later, yeah.
Right. So I'm assuming that you must have been aware of Phil's background as far as growing up in that part of the world early in his life.
Yeah, as a boy in Cuba and all that. It was very fascinating to me. And I'd read biographies of Fidel and just, it was a very interesting period. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the great thing for me was that, I would send Tim, first of all, Latin grooves, and then when I ran out of that, anything that I had lying around.
Right.
He then, in a masterful way, wrote stuff on top and sent it back. But the first couple of things, and particularly Mambo, track, had a great resonance for me. And what was great was that, Tim would write these lyrics, well-observed lyrics, and about Cuban artists and the grooves, mambo and salsa and guaguancó and stuff. And, that had resonance for me and my childhood in Cuba, when I was growing up. And all those people who became famous later with the Buena Vista Social Club were at their height.
Sure. Yeah, that's amazing.
And I got that excitement of going, when I was taken to the Tropicana Club when I was like 7 years old, when I heard Tim singing that track, it's like took me back there. So I felt very good about what Tim was doing and the fact that he'd been there and he got it, he got it. So that, gave us the confidence, I think, to just keep going.
Yep. That's very cool.
Seeing Los Van Van, in Havana in the mid 80s was really something else. And then I saw Celia Cruz at the Hammersmith Palais in the early 90s. She would have already been in her 70s. And it was the most incredible things I've ever seen, just the room just grooving and swaying to her. And, in pop music, you sort of get used to this idea that once people get to about, 29, it's over. But with a lot of these music forms, that like Latin, we call it Latin, but there's many forms of it. People are revered, if they, once they get to those older age groups. And yeah, it was really something else. So that was many years ago, but it stuck with me.
Yeah. I mean, I was lucky enough to go to Havana about 10 or 12 years ago. And I was just amazed at how there was just music everywhere. You'd sit and have lunch somewhere in a little cafe and suddenly a band would show up out of nowhere and just start playing.
Yeah. And, it's not like this whole record is about that. I mean, definitely that was the starting point. And I'm no expert, don't know much about Cuban or any kind of, Afro-Cuban or Colombian music. But thanks to Phil, I kind of feel very safe and secure in that area because, he grew up in it, he knows it and feels it. And so at the same time, he loves the kind of music that I grew up with, Beatles, etc. So
sure.
Just very solid place. Yeah.
So when you were putting these things together for this record, did you talk about it much or did you just kind of swap files and see what happened?
Just swap files.
Yeah. We just swap files and, talk about the random theory or Eno's got these obscure strategy cards which say like ridiculous things you have to obey. It was sort of a bit like that, just do it and send it, and then whatever happens. But what the sort of, if I'd like to say the sort of hit rate, although I'm not talking hit in terms of sales rate, the hit rate was incredible because Tim, everything I sent him, he came back with something. And I was running out of stuff and I thought, well, I've got some really weird stuff. I'll send him stuff and he'll never be able to write something on top of it. Next morning, it would come back with words and him singing. And I was saying to my wife, Claire, this guy is a bloody genius. How does he, but that's his unique talent. I know what I do. I can do music and stuff. I can't do what he can do, which is, and so I'm always in awe of people who can do stuff, whether even guitarists who can play really tricky stuff and everything. I'm in awe of people who can do stuff that I can't do. So it's a lovely thing to see,
Yeah.
Well, Marty, I'll just add to that I've never done this before in my life. I've never written over music beds. And so this project and the Forensics project with Eddie Rayner is the first time I've ever normally I just sit down and write a song.
Yeah.
But I've never had people send me chords and beats. And so it was pretty exciting for me.
And I'm also guessing that you haven't sung that much in Spanish before.
I've never sung in Spanish and I don't speak Spanish. Yeah.
Well,
absolutely relying on Phil to tell me if I was way off the mark.
Right.
He was pretty much saying, there was one song we corrected one word, which was malevolo.
Malecon, can you still protect your people from the storm? Hold back the raging sea and keep us safe, Malecon.
Right, it's just the accenting of one little word out of all of that Spanish. Now, did you ever ask Elliot? Because wasn't Elliot learning Spanish?
I was learning Spanish, yeah, and she was vaguely contemptuous of my attempts. Same time, not disapproving, I guess. It was entering a character, Marty. Like I've done a lot of musicals and operas lately, so I'm into that. Going into the characters. Yeah.
Right.
And also, Tim, haven't you done singing in French on the Forensics?
Forensics, I sang French. Yeah, I did French at school though, so that was
Okay, but we do have one in Italian that you sang, which will be on the next album.
Oh, that's great.
Friend for months. So yeah, that gave me an in to that. I mean, I love languages. It's so great to, especially once you've listened to a bit of opera, which I don't know much about, but you listen to Puccini or whatever, like the way that Italian sounds when it's sung. The same way Tereo, Maori, is such a beautiful language to sing in, and Spanish, you just enter into it really as a musician.
And as a vocalist, do you have to think differently when you're singing in a different language?
I do, but I couldn't explain that difference.
Right.
I definitely become a different person. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, actually, that's interesting because I often bang on about my duality, the fact that I had a South American mother, British dad, can speak Spanish, can speak English. When I speak Spanish, I become a different person. There's lots of hand movements, and I become very animated. Like yesterday, I was talking to Colombia. I was like, blah, 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 blah. And you become a different person when you speak another language. It's wonderful, actually.
It is wonderful. And when you translate lyrics, Marty, like, a couple of times during this, I wrote lyrics in English, translated them in Spanish. And then because of scan and syllable and rhyme and everything, they have to change, and you're sort of bludgeoning them and forcing them into melody. Then you translate them back into English, and you go, wow, it's much better.
Really?
Yeah. And I can see somebody like Beckett, who lived in France and wrote plays in French. Waiting for Godot was written in French and then translated back into English.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's fascinating.
That is.
Yeah, there's a thesis right there. Probably is one PhD thesis right there, Tim. Off you go. 5 years.
We'll come back and.
You got years left.
Now, from what I understand, there was also somebody in Stuttgart who was helping you make this record.
Well, actually, the great thing about, as Tim, I think you said, the interconnectedness of lockdown meant that, there's a fantastic bass player, classical and jazz bass player, and his wife, who plays viola and violin on this. They happened to move to Stuttgart. And so I rang him and I said, you got to buy this software program called Logic, and we're going to teach you how, because you can't just sit there during lockdown doing nothing. I need you to play bass. You've got to learn. And this other friend of mine, drummer, sent him a microphone, and he learned how to record himself. And, he's the guy that I used on Robert Wyatt's album, on my albums, on the David Gilmour albums, he just sent him the track, he'd come back, and then a drummer in Orange County who plays with Crosby, Stills and Nash, Stevie, who played with the Gilmour albums and things. I sent it to him. A friend in Colombia, Pernet, a raver sort of dance guy. In Johannesburg, musicians in Johannesburg. So from all over the world, it's incredible. And people are amazed how it doesn't sound like a load of bits. It sounds like you could all be playing in the same room, and that has a lot to do with Mike as well, helping us.
Yes, I've been having this discussion with musicians who are suddenly realizing they have to come up with different ways of working in isolation, and wondering, well, when things get back to whatever normal is, what's going to happen with studios, because maybe they don't need them so much anymore. They can do so much at home.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Jacob Dylan you must have seen that documentary, Marty.
Yep.
Yeah, the Laurel Canyon one.
Yeah.
Yep.
He talked about how in Los Angeles now, great musicians don't even bother going around the corner, to visit each other, send files. And I think one of the things about it, it's very ego-less. Like when you send files, not that Phil and I would have had ego problems, but
right.
Some bands can have ego, or people can have ego problems. But you send a file, it's very kind of pure in a way.
Right. It's just, here it is.
Yeah.
Take it or leave
it.
Yes, I totally agree, because what I tend to do now is, if someone asks me to play on it, like Brian Ferry, for instance, I'd say, look, I'm not coming round to see you. He said, can you come round? I said, no, I'm not going to be there and be tortured. I remember those days. I will send you 6 different guitar parts. If you don't like them, rub them all out. I don't care.
Gotcha.
And use whatever you want, and see ya. Send me something else if you like what I do. And of course, it brings back memories of all that time in the studio when you are a band.
Yeah.
And you do, well, let's try it this way, let's try it that way. And then one person says, no, I don't like it. The other says, I do. And then it's like, I'm too old now. I can't do that. Take it or leave it.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
So is there another album in the works?
Well, yeah. We have, we actually had 24 tracks to choose from. We chose these 10. Yep. The next 10 or whatever, they'll all come out at some point. And I would say that there's 10 of the 14 are pretty much all recorded. They just need Mike's magic and for us to agree on the mixing and stuff like that. So I hope, sometime next year when it fits into all the slots of all the different people's stuff, we're ready. And as Tim has said before, there is a shortage of availability of vinyl. Yep. So you have to book it up like 6 months in advance. So I'm sure we will end up with a beautiful double vinyl box set next year or something. But it takes forever to do that kind of thing.
And are you thinking about taking the show on the road when it becomes feasible?
A dream of mine would be to do this in Spain and Italy and France and England. I would so love to do that, and to bring Elliot along if she'll come and sing the harmonies and all these amazing musicians. But it's probably a dream, Marty, to be honest. It'd be so hard to imagine it happening, but I would love that.
And how about South America? South America,
Colombia, Brazil,
yeah. I have the band ready in Buenos Aires already,
right?
And then
did you have a sax player from Brazil, right? Isn't there a sax player from Brazil?
Yes, from Curitiba. That's great sax playing. I mean, he's only like
amazing,
28, 29. He's got a big afro, looks like Hendrix. I got him to play on the Gilmore tours. Yeah. When he was 19.
Cool.
He's an incredible musician. So we have incredible musicians that we could call upon. But hey, it could be a pipe dream. But as there's this expression in Spanish, soñar no cuesta nada. To dream costs nothing.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I don't know how to follow that up.
I think that's the end of that.
That's the end. Well, yeah.
Last time I saw you was at Harper's gig, right?
That's right. Yes.
Phil, Marty was there at our son Harper's gig in Auckland. So he's a guy
turning into a superstar.
Yeah, but I like that you check things out. You're there,
Well, Harper's actually been up here at my studio. We did a little interview and stuff about a year or so ago. So, yeah.
Oh, wow. And no, I mean, what I've heard of Harper stuff, God, this guy is amazing. I mean, you guys, you produced two very talented children there. You lucky dogs.
There's fins everywhere. You can't.
But Marty, I'm just looking at your record collection behind you. And
oh, yeah.
Wow. I mean, like how many, you probably know how many bits
Well,
of
I know
vinyl.
there's plus 10,000 LPs. And in the other room, there's 15,000 7-inches.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
but anytime you want to come around and play records, I'm more than happy.
Karaoke, yeah? Okay.
Whatever. just sing along with them. It's fantastic. Yeah. So
music, and that's what we musicians really appreciate. People like you, to be honest, who love music. Yeah.
Yeah, because geez, we love just music. It's just such a part of our lives, and I can see it with so many people. How it helps people actually.
Yep.
So that's why we got to keep doing it.
Keep doing it. So, are you, either of you doing anything else other than this that I should know about?
Well,
it can wait.
Yeah, it can wait.
Fair enough. It's time. No problem there. Excellent. Well, this has been very, very exciting and very cool. So thank you guys for talking to me. And
thanks, Marty.
Hearing the record is fantastic. Hopefully I can't wait for the double vinyl version.
Yeah.
I'll be
next year.
Yeah, I'll definitely have one. I would guarantee you. There is a vinyl factory here in town now in Auckland. So maybe we can get it done at a holiday or something.
Oh, well, you better tell Forensics that. Okay.
Probably expensive though. And there's probably a waiting room time. Anyway, but thank you very much. I'll let you guys go.
Cheers, Marty.
Bye-bye.
Nice to meet you. Bye.
See you, Marty.